Yeah, you're good to go too, Mike. This is JJ. How are you?
Hey, JJ, nice to meet you finally. Um, Thanks for being here. Um, all right, so this is like the first, I guess, the first time I'm also going live on the Facebook thing. So that's kind of cool. I hope it went through. I should have probably done a test, but I was doing a podcast, so I was kind of stuck on it. So I think it did go through though. All right, so um, today may not be too long. We'll see how things go. But my goal for the day was to kind of let the people on the call, perhaps like introduce themselves and just say, say something about themselves and what they're here for and what they're trying to learn. Darren, I've known you forever, so I'll throw you out there because I know you don't care.
No, I don't care. Yeah, well, I've been in the intermarketing space since 2008, and last couple of years, I've been working with a cool team of guys. Mike, you're the one that hired me, and been a pretty exciting ride. I'm not a copywriter. I'll put that out right out front, but I do like marketing. So my focus has been on video production, graphic design in the internet marketing space. But I'm always interested in matching design with copywriting. I mean, that's basically what I've been doing, for the last 12 years or so. So anything I can do to better understand the marketing world, and definitely understanding, some of the core elements of copywriting, I think would help me be a better marketer overall.
Awesome. All right, Darren, thank you for that. And guys, Darren is a real stud. I've known him for quite some time now, and he's can make videos and graphics, and he really understands I think the funnel more than probably anyone I've met from the design side too, especially. Um, that's one thing that you find when you hire people out that you'll find that they want to make pretty graphics, and they don't think about the conversion side. And Darren, I would say, Darren, you're a conversion first designer, I would say.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Um, all right, JJ, we'd love to hear from you. You came in hot, so I would love to learn more
I
about
came in hot.
I mean, you got right into it. You were in the group. You were, posting stuff, and I
Oh yeah. Well, I I'm making the transition to conversion copywriting. I would say I've been doing copywriting for wow. I think since I entered web design and development, which was back in 2010, and I didn't want to get caught in the kind of matrix of where all the students, all my classmates were complaining about, well, how am I supposed to compete in an oversaturated market? And I said, you got to start thinking outside of the box, man. You got to just think about how you're going to compete on an angle. I mean, anybody that I've ever talked to, and that's always been my mantra is that um, whether you want to call it a blue ocean strategy or something else, that there's always something that can differentiate you from the masses and help you get your name out there. It does take some time and creativity, but I think it's limitless. It just depends on, how focused you want to get in your specialty niche or your skill sets.
yeah, that's a great point, man, and that is true. There is a lot. I will say this: there's a lot of competition, but there's not a lot of good competition.
Correct.
You know,
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
a lot of people that are selling noise, and
Yes.
the better we can get, that's partially why I built out Copywriter Brain, is because I wanted to give people that actually work hard at it like a really cool database that they can pull from. So if they do get in front of a client and they pull it up and they say, what do what's your industry? Boom, boom. You can pull up research and stats and studies, and they'll be like, wow, this person actually knows what they're trying, saying. So that's kind of why. So thank you for being here. What we're doing for those that have just joined, we're just going to quickly kind of go around, say hi, and then I'm going to have questions, and then I have like a very very short, small training that I put together for this one. So I'm just kind of going down the line. So Max, good to meet you, man. Would love to hear more about you too.
Sure. So
I
I've
know
been
we've
in
met, but
the
I mean, face to face.
yeah. It's good to see you. Um, so I've been in the corporate marketing world, been a brand marketer for about 16 and a half years now. So everything from agency marketing to the pharma world, currently doing some CPG work. Um, and for the past year and a half, I've just been going headfirst into direct response. I love the psychology behind it. And I know, copywriting is a huge part of that and understanding the psychology behind it. And so Mike, I saw your stuff with the copywriting breakthrough. I think we're in a few similar groups with Titans and Jack Butcher stuff. I love his way of thinking. I love his design. Darren, I'd love to talk to you a little more about probably your design angle, because I do a lot of building of funnels and different things for people too on the side. So
Awesome. Darren
more than
had
anything, it's
dropped,
just
I think Darren dropped, Max, I'll intro you to him because he is very good, and I would say he's a good guy to know.
yeah.
I'm still here. Woo.
Oh, is he? Okay, there you go, Darren. Sorry, I thought you fell off.
Yeah, it's I just love all things marketing, and just being involved and immersing myself with it and just trying to get better every day. So appreciate you guys being here. And I love the idea of, I love Rome. So putting this copywriting group together is perfect. So appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. All right, so now I'm going to bring up, and I don't want to offend anyone else, but this guy has my favorite name of all of us in the group, and that's Nick Quick. I just think it's just hard to beat that name. So Nick, I would love to. Yeah, tell us more about you, Nick.
Yeah. Wasn't expecting this. I'm just actually just sitting in on this call until another call starts. But yeah, my name is Nick Quick. I've been writing copy for the last 15 years or whatever. So being a big fan of Rome and just seeing this group started out, I was like, wow, this is great, because applying Rome to my copywriting is just exploded my ability to get copy out fast. It used to take me a lot longer to get it together because I just need to get all the parts, all the different pieces. Now it's just kind of all formulaic, and I can post everything in there. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm sad that I'll have to get off the call in probably 5 minutes, but looking forward to watching the recording.
Awesome. I'm glad you were able to jump in. All right. Shirley, love to hear more about you again. I know you were on.
Yeah. Yes, I am new to copywriting. I joined this in support of Mike, and my background and what I work in is the space of engineering, technical writing, if you will. So I consult on air quality and power generation projects. And interestingly, since the last office hours, I started talking about how I was taking this course and I need a reason to sort of jump in and become part of a Rome cult. And one of my clients made a comment about how he wants me to set up something to help, I don't know what the word pitch is the way, to persuade another part of their company to bring me in from his part, which is going to involve, I imagine, the skills that I will learn from your course. And I don't want to quite say I'm a lurker per se, but I just said it. So I am just, again, completely new to this and excited to see how copywriting is helping me just strip away the noise in my technical writing. How's that?
That's awesome. Yeah. And I think you're in such a cool space because once you have the copywriting side down, you're going to be leaps and bounds ahead of everyone on that whole, that whole industry, because the technical type people are they're very left brain. And for them, it's almost a sin to sell, right? There's this sort of the product will sell itself kind of thing. And so I think you're on the right track, and don't feel bad about timing either. Cause there's courses I've been sitting on for, gosh, way too long. And I'm like a course junkie, so I buy pretty much anything. I've right now, I'm about, once this call is done, I'm actually going to buy a Robert Bly course he just sent out, because it's like, 30 different copy for formulas. So I'm like, I'm gonna buy it just because there might be one in there that I have not seen yet, and that's what. Yeah, I have a cool story for that too. I sent out my last email to the Copywriter Brain community, and actually, of all things, Robert Bly replied to that email and said, "This is really good stuff. Would you mind if I shared this in my next seminar?" And I was like shocked, because his was actually one of the first books that I ever read. So that was like, for me, super cool. I was like, yes, for sure. I'm like a huge fan. I was like this like a fanboy, which is funny because I know in our world, like, people don't even know who we are, but to us, we're like, wow, it's Bob. So that was a cool thing for me. That's something that I learned in the Tim Ferriss book. I just went through it, called the Tools of the Titans. He had a thing that an ex-girlfriend of his made him this jar, and she called it the jar of awesome. And the idea was, whenever he had a really cool thing occur, he should write it down and throw it in that jar. And if you're ever having a bad day, you're feeling bad, you reach in, you pull it out, and you go, oh, yeah, we remember that time Bob Bly said I was cool? Like, well, what I did is I took that and I turned that into a Rome thing. So now whenever anything cool occurs, I have a page, I call it Jar of Awesome, and I just kind of tag it. So then I'll be able to scroll through that page and see all the cool things that I've done. Or because I'm like that way too. I'm very much like, I would call myself a checklist person, right? I get it done and I'm on to the next thing. I don't ever take time to stop and like celebrate. I'm just like, yeah, next thing. And that's something that I'm trying to get better at, but it's just my natural state. So that's one way that I've done that. All right, Nick, good luck on that call, man. Crush it. We'll see you soon. All right. Nicole, did you want to come out and say anything?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Mike, I just want to say thank you for this community. And I met you in Jack Butcher's Visualize Value. And that's where I think I actually asked you a question about copywriting and preliminary steps that I could take. I've been a content writer. And so I would also classify myself as very, very new to this space. And I'm definitely at ground zero with Rome. So I think that my primary challenge is to master Rome, or at least get off the ground with Rome. I don't think master is probably not the correct word. I have been editing web copy for people. I started my own website. I was solopreneuring prior to last year, but I launched a website in December. And now I'm working on my content for a campaign. I'm going to have some funnels. So I'm writing my own copy. I'm writing my own social media content right now, and hoping for my seed launch in March, late February or March. And as far as niching down is concerned, I definitely think that there's a lot for me to think about in terms of who I want to write for, and where I want to focus. And I would love to glean from all of these, you, Mike, and all of you others who have been in the industry for, a long time, and just see what I can learn and how I can grow. So yeah, thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm again very, very thankful that you're here. And I'll just say this real quick. This is like really fun for me, because I don't know if I've said this before, but copywriter brain for me is what I'm lovingly calling my pandemic project. I had all this extra time. My wife was sick of me because I was just like around her 24/7, you know, and we're in this house, and she was like, you got to find something to do. So I was like, well, maybe I'll just do some copywriting. That's like what I love to do, you know? And so I spent some extra time. I would go up here. Yeah, I would come into my office after hours and just build it. And so it's just very cool to see some little weird thought that I had one day coming into a real thing. And I know we're, you know, early still, but I do believe that we're going to build something really cool here. And my ultimate goal is to build out um, a program for people that write copy that can get away from sort of the old school way and get more into modern times. So I want to talk about that real quick, and then I'm going to open it up for questions. This is something that I think I touched on in the course, but it's becoming more and more of like a main point for me. So some of you may have seen, but I launched a Facebook group to kind of go along with the circle group. I didn't do that because it's like a big thing that I would want to do, but I know that I can get people in that front door, and then I can bring them through into our kind of real community. So I'll talk about that real quick. I want us all to think about when we're building up audiences or when we're going to write copy and all those kind of things that we do, whether you're trying to get clients or just build your own brand. Look at social media sites from Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever. They're really nothing more than like a lake or a pond, and your job is to go there and fish. And you're fishing there, and you want to get the fish and you want to bring them home. What's home? Your email database, maybe your product, maybe your website, but you don't ever want to live where you fish, because we've all seen it. Perhaps we've all been there, but all it takes is one click by like a Filipino person that can ban your entire business just like that. Because they go, I don't like that ad. Click. And you file, you can send in an appeal, and they don't know. They just go, no, you're banned forever because you showed too much skin in one ad. You're like, I didn't even show skin in an ad. You know, it's just like this organizational mess, and you get kind of stuck there. So just always view social media sites as ways to fish. And where you fish is what depends on what kind of fish you want, right? I'm not a fisher guy, so I'm going to say it all wrong, but I do know the idea that you have different bait for different fish, and there's different fish are in different parts. So LinkedIn may have the bigger fish, and Facebook may have the most fish, and Twitter may have smarter fish. You know, like Instagram may have prettier fish, right? So it all just depends on what kind of fish you're going after. So that's kind of why I did that, and we'll see where that ends up. But the whole goal is to bring people over to the private community where we have all more control. But what I want to talk about is kind of two different schools of thought, and what I'm trying to help us build towards. And I will say that I started in the old school, because I grew up in the world of like sell or be sold, right? You got to sell, sell, sell. You got to grind. You have to go make this you got to just always be selling. So what I call that world is I call it FUSS. And if you've been through my course, you know that I'm sort of an acronym junkie. So I came up with FUSS. And what FUSS is kind of the four elements that we get taught to sell with especially when we're going to write copy. And that is fear, urgency, scarcity, and strategic manipulation. And the reason why I call it FUSS as well is because those four things, while they do work. I'm not going to say that they don't. They can bring you a long tail of trouble. And it can also tend to attract the wrong types of people. So I'm not saying you can never use those things. So there are times like fear is a real thing. And if there's something going on in the stock market and you believe it's going to go bad, you can say that, but don't let that be your driver. Don't let that be your main angle. The urgency, there's only 10 left. Hurry, act now. 5 left. We're down to the last one. But wait, there's more. I think that a lot of those things are dying because people have caught on. People get it now. Maybe not the oldest audience. They're still a little bit more, but I would say anyone 40 and under, they see that stuff and they roll their eyes. and and they're buying it in spite of it, not because of it. So you want to work on, if you're going to do those things, just make sure that they're real. If you're selling a digital product, there are no caps, right? There's no restrictions. We sell a product that's actually a weight loss challenge, right? So because of that, there really is scarcity, because we can only fit so many people in, because we do like all these, support people have to be there. There's built-in urgency too, because it does start. It's like after the first, you have to wait because that's it. And then the manipulation side, I just think we got to back off on that stuff. We got to be very, very careful. So what do we replace it with? I came up with an acronym called TRAVEL. And travel is just talking about building trust, being real or transparent. That's kind of the other part of it. Authenticity, value, education, and the most important one of all, listening. If you guys go back and you read my Copywriter Brain sales page, you'll see on there the only kind of like urgency that I put on there was that the first 100 spots are cheaper. And that's true. And I did that because it's new. So I'm taking a hit until I prove myself. But once that's out, that'll be off. And so what I did is I knew if I wasn't going to use fear and I wasn't going to use false scarcity or urgency, how was I going to make up for that? So the trade-off for me was time, because that meant I needed to build up trust. I needed to be more authentic. I needed to provide value. So you guys will see that I post on the blog now every single week. I put out videos each week. I mail out the newsletter each week, and all that is just free stuff. And that serves me in two ways. One, I feel good because just because you can't afford to buy my stuff doesn't mean you can't still get value. There's a lot of people. I was there when I was like 23, 24, I was broke. I mean, I worked overnight stocking shelves at Walmart. And so the idea for me to buy $1,000 course was insane. There was no way, So I fully appreciate that. So I try to give away as much as I can. Now, obviously, I want to, especially because I'm trying to bring on staff, I don't want to have to come out of pocket to pay them. So I charge enough to provide more value to the higher end, but also that will allow me to bring on support. So that's kind of part of the whole entire strategy, and that is the trade-off. Because what you have to start to do is look at the beginning of your sales funnel as your content. So, we've all talked about, or you may have heard the idea of there's a front end and there's a back end. And the front end is like the first thing that you sell, and the back end is the other stuff. So, example, if I was creating a copywriter's funnel for clients, I may say, you can start with 3 emails for $100, which is very, very cheap, but just to get them in, and say, hey, do you want a full sales page? It's 5,000. Hey, do you want a full-on consult funnel? That's 10,000, right? That's the whole idea. They call that an ascension funnel. You're going up and charging more. But what I think the difference is nowadays, and what we have to begin to think about, is that your first product is not your first sale. Your first product is your content. So you want to make it so that your content is just as good as a product, as best as it can be, because people are judging you off of that. And that's where you're building value, and that's where you're building trust. Frank Kern, if you guys have ever heard of him, he has a great saying, which is basically the best way to show people you know what you're talking about is to show them you know what you're talking about, right? Like just talk and prove it. And that's where that whole piece comes in, where you want to have proof. And then that final piece where you should hear what they're saying, hear the feedback, listen. That to me is a big one. And that's one that I need to get better at, even with Copywriter Brain. So I'll end it by asking you guys for some help, because I think Nicole, I feel this with you especially. I think one of the hardest things you can ever do is write copy for yourself. It's very hard because you're in it. And it's also hard because it's really hard to like write about how great you are, or how good you are, or how great your stuff is. Because like for me anyway, that just feels like so ego. And it's so, for me, it's just not me. And so I really struggle with that. Now, if I'm going to write copy for someone else, I'm like, oh, Max is the best copywriter I've ever met. I've seen him crank stuff out. I can just write. But when it was me, I'm like, Mike's pretty good at copy. He's been around for a bit. I tend to downplay. And so what I would like you guys, and you don't have to do this now, but if you did buy my course, try to email me something about why you bought it and what you're trying to get out of it, because I'm going to put together a webinar to try to introduce the whole entire program and sell it. And it's been sitting on my to-do list for like 2 or 3 weeks now, and I keep putting it off. I'm like, I'll get to it. But I know that's the next stage. And I'm sure for me, there's a little bit of fear there. Like, what if I screw it up? Because it is such a weird, like talking about like a niche, it's very weird of a niche, because it's like copywriting, but it's not your traditional, like learn how to write from scratch kind of course. It's more like a research thing too. So I'm just trying to find that right hook, that right angle to kind of, go with. So if you have my email or Slack, yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So because you're kind of marketing two different things here, you're marketing to copywriters and you're marketing to Roam users or potential Roam users. How are you doing your targeting? Are you going, very specific at people who are just starting into Roam and then hoping that they're copywriters also, or how are you kind of marrying this? Because I think that's a tough.
Yeah, I'm focusing mainly on copywriters or business owners that need to produce more. So I'm not focusing on Roam, because I feel like Roam is just the tool that you use to get the outcome. I do have an idea that I am seeing a lot of the people that buy it. The funny part is they never show up to anything, but they just buy it and they might send me an email. And that's been agencies. Agencies seem to buy it and I think it's a good hook there if I spend time on it. Because I think if you're an agency, especially if you have to like run ads and stuff, you're constantly always having to come up with new ads, new concepts. You're bringing on new clients. So I think there's a way there that I could probably charge more and have like an agency angle where maybe I include a consult call for setup, because I think for an agency, spending $1,000 isn't a big deal. I've spent, myself, $2,000 or $3,000 just for a few phone calls. So I'm sure there's an angle there too.
Yeah. And I'm wondering what the agency's part of the selling is maybe, they're trying to crank out all this stuff. And I know you already have a ton of templates, but I'm sure you could put together some agency specific templates for them. That would probably be an easy sell. Cause if that's what they're looking for is more of a turnkey type thing.
Yes.
That might work for you.
Yeah. I'm finding that to be a big thing is people really want templates. They really like the drag and drop kind of stuff. And, that is what I'm going to build out more. One of the struggles there is it's like, I want to create templates, but I also know so many proven templates, but I don't think I have the rights to just like steal them and say, here's it's like, do I just recreate them and change it up? Or, like I'm trying to figure that out too. I have some of my own that I've done, but it's tough because it's kind of like saying the alphabet. How can we, how many ways can you restructure A, B, C, D? You have to come up with some other way of saying it. So that's part of what I'm doing now. So I'm going to actually reach out to some of the people that I am friends with and ask them, hey, would it be cool if I use this and I'll provide you a backlink, or something like that. So
yeah, you have really good templates in there. And I wonder if you're talking to an e-com, e-com agency or somebody that, is writing for e-com stores, you could just do an e-com specific template, which would just modify it a little bit from the other templates you have. So you're not stealing, you're
exactly.
just modifying what they have, but speaks directly to what they're trying to accomplish.
That's great, Max. That's a great idea. So yeah, that's one angle. And then the other angle is just like people that want to get better and write more copy. That's kind of where it's at now. Let's see. All right. So let's open it up now for some questions. I'm sure if anyone has anything. I know, Nicole, you sounded like you had a lot going on. So I'd like to hear a little bit more about it, like what you're trying to do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I actually put my URL out there in the chat, and I would definitely take wisdom and suggestions from anybody here. I went live 21st or 22nd of December, I can't, was my Christmas gift to myself. And I had been working on the site since July or so. I've got funnels in the background that I'm hoping to launch.
Do you care if I share my screen and pull it up? Is that cool?
I do not mind at all. I would actually be honored. I would really appreciate it. Yeah. And I think, you were just so invaluable in the early stages, Mike, and I dropped an email to you in Visualize Value, and you just sent me all of these links from your existing sites, the things that you had compiled, best practices for copywriters. And I just more or less began to devour everything that you had offered there.
That's awesome.
It did take a long time to write this site.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, we got it pulled up here, so I will.
Okay.
I'll be nice. I'll be nice as always. I'm not too mean of a guy, but
no, tear it up. It's fine.
Some of these people, they love to just rip stuff apart, and that's not my.
Tear it up. I'm good.
All right. So because now I think JJ brought up the video may be it may be too much. I would say if you can test that for a still image, I probably would, because even me, I feel like a little nausea, kind of like, whoa, I'm being pulled,
Okay.
I would watch that. I do think there's
Okay.
now my first thought beyond that. Well, one, I would say I like this a lot. I like your signature. That's very cool, very professional, and very very artsy but professional. I think it's cool.
Thank you.
Very good for the brand. Now, my very, very first thought is I see this and I really have no idea what it is. No clue. I see your journey. It's an epic adventure worth every word. That's good from a very typical branding perspective, but I don't know what's in it for me. Even this quote, good words are worth much and cost a little. Cool quote, but again, what is it? So maybe now we're getting over here. Are you afraid of wasting money on failed campaigns? Are you unsure of what to say? With words, power boost your marketing efforts, finesse your words, and soar higher than ever. Okay, so this is good. I'm finally seeing sort of some what's in it for me. I always talk about the favorite radio station of everyone is actually WIIFM. That's what's in it for me, right? WIIFM. And so I feel like there's some benefits here. And when people come to your site, if they're coming cold, especially, they're not coming here to hunt to find something. It needs to be blatant in their face. So I would look over here and see, even here, you did good here because you said boost your stuff, right? This is about them. So don't be afraid to use the word you a lot. You did here, you did say your journey, but I think that the problem with this is it's just kind of vague, right? Like if you saw this like me completely out of context, what would you think this meant? What are you selling? That's what you need to think about, is what is someone who's coming here who doesn't really know much yet, and what are they trying to get? So I would come up with what is your core offer? Like what is that core offer, and work that into this headline, because obviously your eye is going to come here first, right? Because this is the biggest thing. So you're going to probably read this, and then you're going to read up here, kind of go, what's that? And your brain's still trying to piece everything right now. You're going, okay, your journey, epic adventure. All right. Good words are worth much. Okay. Wasting money on failed campaigns. Okay, all right. I'm not sure what to say. So you're putting people there, you're putting what's called a high cognitive load on them. What you want to do is minimize what it is they have to do. And this is important because no matter down here, you may do everything right. This may be the best copy I've ever seen. But if it's not up here, what they call above the fold, they're not going to scroll, and they're never going to see this. You could literally write that down here, click here, and I will send you 1 Bitcoin for free, and you would be amazed. People won't even ever go see it because they'll go, and back. So it's that important that you really tighten this up with a huge benefit of what's in it for them. So I've been talking forever, so sorry. Go ahead and tell me in your own words what you do for your ideal client.
Okay. My my value proposition, as it stands right now, is uh, writing for businesses and sites. And then I also have a travel DC tour ambassador side to my concept, which if you scroll down, you'll see. So basically, as a native Washingtonian and resident of this region, I'm actually collaborating to do some very, very specifically focused walking tours of Washington, D.C., which then I say in my copy is a city built on words, the power of words. And I'm in the process of uh, channeling those tours through various funnels and venues that will enable me to book. But what I'm basically doing is connecting my physical location here in Washington, D.C. As the legislative capital and, as I say in the copy, a city built on words, with my behind the computer livelihood. So people in my see both sides of me as a person. It also just enables me to get away from my desk a little bit. And so it's actually two streams of income. Probably not going to, probably not going to book a ton of tours. But my deep knowledge, and I do have a lot of deep historical knowledge about the city. I was born and educated here in DC. And I've done a ton of research at the Library of Congress. I'm kind of an academic sort of person. And so all of the hows and whys of, the different things about the various buildings, the various monuments and things. It's all very, very interesting, very deep. I'm also, an artist and an art history person. So it really ties together my personal interests, my geographic location, and my offering to write for people.
I will also say, that's great. That's been huge. And when I'm in DC, I'm gonna come find you because my wife and I are trying to plan the course right now. You can't do much, but
Okay.
you can. That's on our.
But I think, yeah, thank you. But what I think probably isn't clear here is who I want to write for. I'm very general, and that does bother me right now at this stage because I think that I can write well for B2B. I think I can write well for new entrepreneurs. I have a real heart for small businesses or medium to large business, any business that has suffered in the last year or so, or just has stale copy, a website that is full of problems, language that needs to be updated. And so maybe I'm at the intersection of content and conversion as well, because, I know that people really want quality content, and that doesn't always convert. And then a lot of people too just don't even have a deep understanding of the difference between, content and conversion writing. I mean, they don't understand SEO. They don't understand that their content should be well backlinked. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff. There's a lot of knowledge gap. So I think I'm very educative in my mission, or at least that's how I sort of want to be. I don't know.
Well, let me say this, and then I want to open it up for others to add in some of their thoughts. I think we all can share advice and get things from each each of us. So my main thing is, and this is just like sort of copywriting 101 stuff, and I know that this for you is a brand new thing. So I want to say you've done a great job to get it started. That's the most important piece. So the big thing is the kind of most tried and true thing that I've seen is if you're trying to sell a bunch of things, you're not going to sell anything. So you really have to hone in on sort of that main thing that you want, which is fine. You can create 2 or 3 different pages, one for the B2B content side with maybe an eye towards conversions. You can do one for the DC travel side. If you wanted to do something else for small businesses trying to recover, that can be something too. But you definitely want to kind of pick your main focus per page, and you want there to be one call to action. So one big thing that I would say here is it sounds like right now your main goal is way down here. So what you want people to do is way down here, right? I don't know if you've ever seen a heat map where it shows you how people scroll, but down here, very few people are going to ever get here. So what I would say that you should do is tighten up your main promise right here. So this is your main promise to your main target audience. Make this really cool. This is okay. This is, it's fine. But then right here, write your call to action. And this button should be like, book your call now. Take action now. Book that call. Because you're going to see that you'll get way more people to go here and take this action. The about you that's fine, but it's not going to probably push them towards a sale. So you want to have your biggest benefit to your prime or your exact audience, and then over here, so maybe bullet points of what they'll get on the call. What's in it for them? We'll break down your site. We'll review your sales pages. We'll check your email follow-up system. We'll do everything we can to increase your conversions right on the call. Book here now. You see how that's clear? You want to do it. I'm not saying those are the best things ever, but at least it's like you're going to get this, 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 and all this completely free because I want to help. And if there's a chance for me to do more for you, awesome. If not, no big deal. You want to make it where it's very casual in that sense. All right, I want to open it up. Does anyone else want to share their thoughts? Max, I see your hand went up first there. JJ, I'll come to you next.
Hey, yeah. So I definitely agree with everything you're saying, and I wrote some stuff in the chat, but you want to make it very clear right when these are billboards. So right when someone comes there, you want to make sure they're very clear on what it is that you do. I think, it's a very pretty site, but if we're looking for conversions, you want to make sure, right away they know exactly what it is what they do. And I can send you some stuff after the call on kind of a little bit of a wireframe for a website of how it makes sense. But right when they get there, you want to make sure you know, what do you offer? How does it make their life better? And then to Mike's point, how do they get it? So you need to bump that all the way up to the top because you want to make that as clear as possible, and you need to really tell them what to do. And then I think a lot of the stuff that you were just talking about, kind of your ideas of why they need this, that's what would go underneath this, because you really need to agitate that problem. So after you kind of, tell them who you are, what that is they do, and where you get it, then right underneath it, that's when you start introducing the problem and agitating that problem. So I'm more than happy to share some stuff after the call and send you an email with some stuff. But I think for an overall site, it's really pretty and it's really good looking. I think you just need to kind of restructure a little bit and
Okay.
clean up some of the messaging.
Okay, thank you. Really appreciate it, everybody. Thank you.
JJ, I saw you were going to jump in, I think.
Max, you're a fan of Donald Miller, hey? I'm a huge fan of his structure, especially how you put home pages together. Nicole, hats off to you getting your website up. Even for me as a web designer and developer, it's the hardest thing to do is to write stuff for yourself and kind of brag about what it is that you do. Your design it's modern. It's really well saturated as far as contrast, weights. I love the font weights that you've chosen. I'll back up Max and say that the first thing that people are going to see is above the fold, and what you want to focus is on there is uh, who are you writing for? Who do you believe is the one reader that you're writing for? Because if you're trying to write for everybody, and I've made that mistake too on my homepage, then it's really hard to get your conversions to stick because everybody qualifies, right? So maybe think about that a little bit. One thing that I like to do, if it helps you, is I kind of reverse engineer how I build my web pages. So each one of my web pages, including my home page, I have a page goal. And usually the page goal is also your CTA value offer. And then I work my way backwards to help me kind of, because if you have a solid offer and you have value to provide, to your audience, then you can start, backtracking and working your way through, what is that going to, how is that going to help dictate my value proposition, my call to action, some deeper bullet points. I think you got a great start here. And I think this is what Mike created the group for. Some of us are pretty hardcore copywriters, let alone, design and copy goes hand in hand. And we can help you. We can help you get some good feedback here.
Agreed.
I heard about that possibility. Thank you very much. This feedback is solid gold. I really thank you all.
And I will quickly show this. Now, this is not the best. This is me like cranking stuff out after hours. So, and I don't put as much time in as I should. But just to give you an idea, I'm really trying to hone in on the branding with this one. That's why I have this big image. I'm also restricted because I'm not a designer, so I have to kind of go with whatever theme I end up with. But you can see that I'm going after right now what I think is my current main promise or main thing, right? Converting copy faster and easier than ever. And then I kind of reiterate that again. If you need to sell your product or service using words, the copywriter brand is what you've been looking for. Discover and you need to fix that. How to write copy faster while never starting from a blank page, and then instantly learn more. And now I'm breaking my own sin here, but I'm doing my own sin. I have two different things here. I have the learn more and I have the free community. And I also put that again up here. But again, I just brought this up so you could see that it's basically maybe what it is, what it does, a little recap, learn more, right? And that's doing a lot without very much space. And if I was a designer, I probably wouldn't have this so big. I would maybe restructure it some, but I'm not. So I'm just just trying to go with what I have. And you can see also here, because when I was actually on a weight loss TV show way back in the day, so I can use these cool things where they talked about me, and that's just like a proof element. And then of course the goal is to drive them to the course page where, well, what do you see here? Yet again, you see me reiterating the same messaging, right? Because if that was good enough to get them to click on it, it'll keep them on. So that was kind of that. So I think, again, not saying this is the end all be all. I need to continue to split test this, but that is what I was trying to say. So thought I would share that.
Beautiful. Very, very crisp.
Yeah. Well, it's all right. As I said, it's very hard to like your own stuff.
That logo of yours is great too.
Yeah.
The
Actually,
noodle brain with the pen tip. I love it.
Yeah. It was actually made by an employee of mine and friend of ours, Darren. Actually, Brini made that for me.
That's cool. Yeah, it looks good.
So good. I've joked about
it. It's fantastic. Very unique.
Yeah, I think so too. And all I told her was I want like a brain and like maybe a pen. That's all I said to her. She came up with that. And so I think it's very good. I've joked that if Copywriter Brain does extremely well, I'll get the tattoo of that on my arm. I'm still waiting. If any of you get it, I'll give you free lifetime access. So you just send me the picture of your tattoo of the Copywriter Brain. Now, all right. Well, I think we're going to wrap here, but does anyone have any final comments or questions or anything they want to share before we end this?
I got a couple real quick suggestions for Nicole. That's okay.
Yeah, please.
And I 100% agree with what everyone was saying. And I actually like the video. However, I understand, it could be a distraction. What I would do, and I don't know if you had the footage or not, but I would stick to very slow pans on the video. In other words, where the camera's not moving so much. And I think it could add, some value to keeping people on the page a little bit, as long as the footage relates to what it is that you're trying to do. And then the only other thing real quick, and I love the design of the page, by the way. I think it's great. And especially the comments on the fonts. I think that's spot on. Add some credibility. I think Mike alluded to that, but add some credibility elements closer to the top, maybe perhaps under the hero section, that main section, just to kind of get some instant, authority on the site. I think that goes a long way. If you have authority closer to the top, that everything else you have underneath that, adds credibility to what it is that you're trying to say. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
That's a great point, Darren. So yeah, if you could slow this down, you can see how that would do. And I do think that would be a little bit easier, because I do think it's the speed and it's the panning, the pan.
Okay.
It is more, because I think the images are beautiful like that.
Thank you.
Epic, so.
Yeah, that's the Library of Congress right there, the largest library in the world. So I think it really connects with, my word-based mission. And then the other place was obviously Supreme Court. And I don't know, it's just, yeah. Thank you all.
Yeah.
It's fantastic feedback. I really appreciate it.
Great. And the cool thing is we can do this every time. We can pick other people, have them, submit stuff. And I'll kind of end it with this. If you're a copywriter, I am starting to get a lot more traffic on my site, and I anticipate soon enough I'll have people asking for copywriting jobs. If those come up, my intention is to try to feed those to members that have gone through the Copywriter Brain program. So trying to get that figured out. We'll see. It's not started yet, but I'm starting to get a few people asking. And so just keep an eye on that, and I'll post those in the community as they come up. So that's all. I hope that'll become another value add towards the program. So, and I want to say again, thank you guys all for being here. Thanks for being early on the community. Just to give you an update, I think as of right now, we've sold like 54 spots. And so we're inching towards our 100. But the cool part is I've done all of it without traffic, without any spend, just all pure brand and just like word of mouth, stuff. So that's been more than I was even expecting. So, and again, I'm not in a rush. So for me, it's fine. I've kind of bought into the Jack Butcher way of just, and he talks about like it compounds over time. Just keep producing small things every single day, and over time that will pick up steam. So that's kind of what I'm into, and we'll see where it's at. But I'm so thankful for all of you guys that are here now early on. So it means a ton. All right. Well, thank you all. And I think we'll wrap and call it a day. Have a great one, and we'll chat here soon.
Nice meeting everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, same here. Thank you.
Have a great
Thank you
rest
so
of the
much.
week. Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shavi. Nice to meet you.
Same here. Same here.
Bye-bye.
Hi, bye.
Bye-bye.
बेटा लीव करना है